distant skies, firefight calls. The stakes are high, on the flame heroes and spies. Control fire, where strategy lies. Hear the tales, fierce and deep. Victors roar, defeated weep. We blaze a way, we don't hold back. Control fire, ready to attack.
Welcome to Control Fire, your monthly musings on Mantic's Firefight. I'm Mike.
I'm Luke.
I'm Sam.
This month we're going to talk about Clash of Protocols, which is the tournament that we tack on to the end of Clash of Kings, the big Kings of War events in Australia. It's the second year it's run, and we're just going to go through the list that was submitted and just give our thoughts on the various lists. The usual, I guess, we should just talk about From the Forge.
Sounds great. So you'll recall our last episode was just before we got into Clash, because Clash of Kings had just happened and we were chatting with Ronnie. We discussed then that we were going to be doing a slow grow challenge, and we see that Mantic has copied us. That Mantic have also decided to do a slow grow challenge where everyone submits 500 points, but so slow, they have to do it across 6 weeks, those 500 points. We do 500 points a month, and that's what my hobby has been. So far, been working through Immortal Guard and an Overseer and some lesser Obsidian Golems. That's my first 500 points for my Abyssal Dwarves, and they're coming along all right. I reckon I'm going to hit my end of February painting goals, which is okay, though I think I'm still being gazumped by Luke. How are you doing, Luke?
Kings of War, slow grow stuff has been my hobby as well. We're now 12 days into the month at time of recording, and I think I've just finished, 720 points worth of stuff. So I did a Thonar and 2 Amber Roxes, which is 490 points, just shy of the 500 point mark, and also no regiments in there. So I had to also bash out a horde of legionaries. So that's quite a bit, but I've got more in the pipe, ready to go. So I've primed up an entire horde and regiment of Great Axe to add to that as well. So they'll be done this month, and then we're on to Legions of Axe.
Fabulous.
Sounds fantastic, because we all know how much you love assembling and painting infantry.
Well, they're pretty much all monopose, old school style orcs, so there's no assembly, just the painting, which I've got some tricks that make it so that I can paint them pretty quickly, so it's not too onerous.
Yeah. Same here. I haven't done anything to do with Firefight. I've also been working on the Kings of War. I'm doing the Twilight Kin, so at the moment I've been putting together some Corsair Void Walkers, and I have some Mutants and Impalers to go as well, to make my 500 points for February. So, yep, it's moving along nicely on as far as that stuff is concerned.
All on track?
Well, probably 12 days in, I've wasted half the month and only got one regiment, so maybe not, but we'll see. The other models are a little bit larger, so it should be okay. Yep.
A month's a long time.
Yes.
You've got time. We're not even halfway through.
It's February, though. It's the shortest month.
Yeah, but the thing is, knowing me, it's kind of do everything in bursts. Like, I'll probably paint all that in a week, and sat there for 3 or 4 weeks doing Sweet FA or the rest of the time. So, yeah, that's just normally the way I do it. I just do things in bursts, and then I don't do anything for a long period of time.
I'm finding it very helpful to keep me focused, just because I feel I'm holding myself accountable, that I can't just move off onto these other side projects and leave these half done. I have to get them done by the end of the month.
Yeah, I usually need a tournament to have me focused, to say I need it to be done by this particular tournament, and I need to do that setting. So I kind of need to have a look at a tournament that I can make around that time.
But you aren't running?
And then I'm not running. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm the same. I paint lists, not armies. So I figure out a list I want to play at a tournament, and then I paint the army to match that. So I have a lot of armies that are just the list that I played when I made the army. So it is nice to have a way to have the drive to produce just units for the army, because I've already got an orc army. I'm just adding to it. Yeah, I'm just adding to it as we go, and also making it Abyssal Dwarves, because they can take orcs. So I thought, there's a lot of cool Abyssal Dwarves on the vault I can print, so I'm actually doing Orcs and Abyssal Dwarves in this library.
Brilliant.
So we had 19 different or 19 players at the tournament, including the buy buster for myself. Also, a quick interesting look at the factions. So Forge Fathers were the most popular faction with 4. Then we had Asterians, Enforcers, and Marauders, all with 3 each. GCPS and VMN 2 each. 1 each at the Night Stalkers and the Plague. And poor old Mason Labs have no lob.
I didn't take them this year because I played them at Clash last year.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny, I said the list that was taken, and one with no one took the next year afterwards to follow one, which is good. But an interesting little fact was last year, I think half the list were either Enforcers or Marauders, which would indicate everybody was using their 2-player sets then. And that sort of moved away a little bit now and spread out a lot more. So it's good to see that there's a lot more bigger spread of armies from there going through. So it's good to see that.
Yeah, it's great diversity.
So Sam, did you want to go through the first list?
So we've decided to run through all of the lists in reverse place order. So the person who placed 18th, they fielded Asterians and a list called the Clade of Light. So in this list, there is a Cypher Prime with 2 Cyphers, a Black Talon Prime with 2 Black Talons, 2 squads of marionettes that have the no-rifle drones, a unit of Cyphers with a light missile launcher, a Matsudan combat team led by an Anashi, a Matsudan fire team with a Yokozuna special weapon, a unit of 2 marionette phantoms, a unit of 4 Black Talons with a shield drone, a unit of 2 weapon platforms each with a heavy fission beamer, a large unit of Cypher Skyrazers at 4, a Spectra Blade Master with the combat fit out, and a Daida Robochi support mech. So that's the one that has the Uke ion barrage and grenade launcher, as well as the shield. The Clade of Light was fielded by Jason Murray. What do we think of Jason's list?
I actually did end up playing with the against Jason in as a buy buster in the end. One person had to leave early to get their transport to get back home again. I was actually quite surprised by the marionette phantoms. Actually, they were quite a tough nut to crack for 100 points in there. I had the advantage. The mission I played Jason in was the lockdown one, and I was played by Night Stalkers, and I was able to quickly advance and start screening those particular objectives off, and then he was having to assault me. But overall, yeah, it was the same thing. It was Asterians. I normally hate the shields. It's even harder with Night Stalkers because you kind of have to throw a unit. I don't have a lot of shooting in my list, so I have to throw a unit away to try and knock shields down before doubling up to go in again to try to take something else down. But it was actually coming into obviously quite a brawl on the 2 objectives, but I was managing to hold them off and screen them off with all my various hordes of troops that I have. But the list itself, it was good, nice. It was nicely painted. It was full of variety of different bits and pieces, but just had not a huge expert on Asterians. I think we might have another one at the table to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I really quite like this list. I think it has a little bit of everything in there, and I think there's a lot of things working into roles. The Cypher Skyrazers give a little bit of legs, like you can go there and swiftly hold an objective and also throw out a reasonable amount of firepower. My wildcard inclusion that I really love is the Daida Robochi support mech. I think it's a really underrated piece. The ability to throw smoke onto something at reasonable range in the Asterian list, where often you're looking to stall out some areas with shields or just with the resilience of your Matsudan, I think is a really clever include. The new Black Talon Prime is also substantially better since he's able to target other units with the order. I think probably the only thing I'd say is there's a lot of points invested in precision pieces in the Black Talons, because the Black Talon Prime has 2 friends and then the Black Talons themselves. There are a lot of points for not a lot of output, and so that you really need to be using them as a scalpel if you're going to be fielding them.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the same thing about the Daida Robochi, the support mech. I think that's a really cool support piece that probably doesn't see enough love, so it was great to see it in there. I mean, it's a bit faster than sort of most of the Asterian lists that I would typically play against, so it looks like it plays fun. And next we have Rob Millington. He was the one that had to, unfortunately, duck off for the last game. So Robbo was playing Asterians as well. His core was pretty close to Jason's, but that's about where the similarities stop. So we had a Cypher Prime with 2 Cypher Buddies, a NASA, 2 units of Marionettes with the Cloaking Drone, 2 units of Cyphers with the Shield Drone, 2 Matsudan combat teams with 6 dudes in each.
That is very chunky.
Chunky boys. A unit of 2 Marionette Phantoms as well, which is cool. I do really like the Phantoms. A weapon platforms, one Pulse Bombard and 1 Heavy Fission Beamer in that unit. Spectra Blademaster and 2 Chroma Force platforms with the Super Heavy Vision Beamer on one and Super Heavy Plasma Vortex on the other.
Yeah, that's going to throw out a lot of firepower on those 2 tanks. Like, I really do love the amount that the Chromas can output. Interesting on the Spectra Blademaster, this one has the Assassin loadout. This one has the Micro Fission Beamer with Marksman rather than the Blade with Elite. But as you say, there's a lot of similarities with this list. So the Marionettes instead have the Stealth. They do have the Phlogistas. I don't really rate the Phlogistas for 15 points as they're basically an AP1 flamer. But, I mean, if you have a plan for them, then it's certainly worth doing. Obviously, with the new NASA, it complements the Chromas really well in that it effectively puts shield generators onto those 2 Chromas.
Yeah, I wonder if he bought the box with the NASA and the two Chromas.
Hey,
Probably
it's now a great box.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was looking at. There's a lot of vehicles in there for the points and to go through. But you were saying that chunky units of the Matsudans, but they're only 144 points. They're quite cheap for what you get.
Yeah, I've complained about the price of them before.
Yeah. At least they don't have shields. So again, looks a fine list. It said as long as you can navigate your way around looking at that. But to me, it looks like it's an all-comers list with the tool for everything that's in there to be able to do what you need to do. So then we have Michael Douglas and one of the Forge Father lists, which he called Slow and Unsteady.
Nice.
Starting off with the Chief Brocker with a friend, the Forge Guard Haskal with another friend, 4 units of Brockers, but 3 of those with Magma Rifles. Then we have 2 units of Steel Warriors with a Dragon Breath Flamer and a Missile Launcher in 5. And the second unit doesn't have the missile launcher, just has the Dragon Breath Flamer. Unit of Valkyr with the long range radios, unit 2. A Na Assault Tank. A unit of Forge Guard with the Magma Cannon in there, so it's unit of 4. Another unit of Forge Guard with a missile launcher. And then we're finishing off with the Iron Ancestor, the Hellermal pattern.
Yeah.
Which is my favourite one, but I wish I could get it from Mantic. Hello, Mantic! Can we put it back in the store, please? Or put it in the vault, one or the other.
Are there any Iron Ancestor bits in the vault, Mike? You know they released all the Asterion vehicle upgrades into the vault now?
Yeah, okay.
Enforcer vehicles.
And the GCPS upgrade bits too.
Marauders,
and the Plague.
Marauders, yeah.
Man, are you listening to this, Ronnie? Ronnie, you're listening to this? Every other Firefight army, except for the Forge Fathers, which are space dwarves, do not have upgrade bits in the vault. And last but not least is the Sternhammer battle tank with the reinforced armor and the dozer blades and a quad hailstorm cannon.
Mm-hmm. That is a lot of Brockers.
Yes, there's definitely a lot of Brockers.
So, I mean, obviously, I think Brockers are a very good unit. But I think maybe you can have too much of a good thing just because they're also not as tough as the rest of the list. Of course, if you've got a plan for them and exactly the way you want to play it, then fabulous. I just look at it and go, ooh, that's a little bit light. But then complemented by 2 reasonable sized units of Forge Guard, who I'm assuming are sitting in that Nar and getting right up into the guts of the enemy army, unless the Brocker are going in the Nar, perhaps. But also the Sternhammer battle tank with the reinforced armor is going to be a relatively solid anvil in that list too.
Yeah, I'm actually not a huge fan of Brockers because every time I play against Forge Fathers, I just murder Brockers without breaking a sweat really. They just die very, very quickly. But normally Forge Fathers don't really have enough units that they can recover from losing too many too quickly. But this list is actually very resilient with those 2 massive units of Forge Guard and 2 Steel Warriors.
And lots of And lots of drops, as you say, to be holding objectives.
Lots of units, really good support pieces in the Iron Ancestor and the Sternhammer. So I quite like the list overall. He probably just had to go with the 4 units of small Brockers just to get the extra drops in there.
And worth noting with the Chief Brocker as well, he is giving them Resilient, so they will be a little tougher than they would normally be. And a Valkyrie.
And it's worth noting both Michael and Rob actually were playing their very first games of Firefight at the tournament. So unless they had a practice game or two, but pretty much it was their first games coming into this. So yes, so they hadn't had a lot of experience in the list. But personally, so I actually like to use my Brockets as a second wave. So they're normally behind my steel, and then these counterattack whatever happens to come forward. Particularly if you've got a relatively larger unit of Brockers. I normally use a unit of 10, so that's an awful lot of shots or an awful lot of attacks that come out of it, and normally it's sitting behind a bunch of steel, whatever it happens to be, or heavy armour, whatever it happens to be.
You wouldn't prefer to do what this is and have 2 units of 5? I mean, that does double your unit strength and also doubles your unbox.
I guess it was the same thing as people sort of pick them out because they're easy. They go, I can kill that there and it's not heavy armour, so it tends to draw fire. It's good for controlled events, you can put something at the back there, but again, there's enough units or armies these days who can get around the back to be able to eliminate those and put you in a bit of trouble. But I tend to find that I prefer to use militia instead, which is similar profile, but a larger unit at 90 points for 10 models. So
I mean, they're not bad to just grab objectives early to get early points on the board and then die. So they can run forward, grab, hold something just at the end of turn 1 so that you're on the board, and then they can die, but the Forge Guard have come up now and they're on the objective, and it's going to be a lot harder to shift them. So gaining an early lead, I always say in Firefight, is a almost surefire way to win the game. So they can help you get the early lead.
And it's also, they don't necessarily need to get you those early points and die. Brockers are quite killy. They can get those early points and then charge you or run in with those burst pistols, which are almost shotguns. All right, our next list is Aaron Kingham with a Mars Power Corps Expedition Force, so some GCPS. So this list has a Marine Lieutenant with a friend, a Marine Major, also with a friend, and a Canis Command Vehicle. My call as best unit in class and taken here. A Marine Heavy Weapons team with 2 mortars. Mortars starting to get some love in the GCPS. Now they've been altered a little in alignment protocols. A unit of 15 recruits, a squad of rangers carrying 2 flamers, the engineer heavy weapons team with 2 missile launchers. I think if you're going to put an engineer anywhere, missile launchers is a good choice. Then 2 squads of 12 Marines, 2 GCPS medics, both with a Medibot but with no other friends, a squad of 4 motorcycles, a squad of riot troopers with a TAC drone with an autocannon, a urban assault strider, a Bronco with adaptive camouflage, and a Wolverine. What are our thoughts on the Mars Power Corps Expedition Force?
Well, interestingly, the Canis has an autocannon, not a laser cannon.
Yes.
Which normally I would say that that's not my favourite choice, but there's not really any other pinning in the list, so it might have been a choice just to make sure that there's some pinning for where it's really needed. I like the Wolverine and the Bronco and the Strider as the 3 decent support pieces, and then the rest of it is they're GCPS, so there's just lots of bodies on the table. I do like the unit of motorcycles though. For 76 points, getting 4 motorcycles is really good again for early game objective grabbing, and 2 medics is just painful.
It was. I played against this list in my first game, and the amount of times where I do my shooting and then Resilient kicks in, and then I finally manage to kill something, and the medic activates and brings a ranger back, and a ranger is not a cheap body to be returning to the pitch. The Medibots giving them 12-inch range was also very good. The only thing that made them a little weaker is without a friend, they were susceptible to being picked off. It's only a single hit point, admittedly with Resilient because there's medic. But you also then need to be dedicating fire to this one person running around in the back lines, and that's often hard to do.
I think I would be tempted to probably drop one of those medics for a mule for the riot troopers in there, so they could get to where they need to be, I guess, on the counterattack. or some other unit maybe if you want to keep the Marines. But otherwise, I think the people in Brisbane tend to have a bit more bodies, I think, in their list in the GCPS, which makes it quite difficult to try to get them off objectives in here. Maybe drop one of those 3 support options for some more infantry type units.
Possibly. The Urban Assault Strider, I think, is a good choice in GCPS.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah, just because you don't have much in the way of counterpunch. And the Riot Troopers, I mean, I do run my Riot Troopers in mules because I love popping things out of mules and shooting things. But Aaron, I think, played his Riot Troopers well because they were effectively a dissuading force. You don't want to get too close because there were Riot Troopers who were ready to step forward in order to then put shotguns into you. Or if you want to occupy a building near the force, then the Riot Troopers are there. So I agree, and I probably would, but Aaron did run it well, and that it didn't feel the lack too much.
Yeah, the obvious swap would be the medic, like you said, and then dropping the flamer off the ranger guy to get you 45 points for a mule. That's what you would swap, I think.
I was surprised to see flamers on rangers, since rangers are already shoot for anyway.
Maybe you had the model and you thought, cool, let's put that in.
Yeah. I mean, and I also do understand that with rangers scouting, you don't mind getting them up close, and that's where flamers are.
And I think, as you said, it comes down to the play style as well. Like, you can have a look at a list, but someone put something in there because they had a job for that particular unit to do that we might not be seeing when we're looking at something on a piece of paper.
All right, next we have Stephen Tucky. His list is called Pew Pew, checks rulebook. Pew Pew. Yeah, Tucky and CAC that we'll get to later grudged in round 1 because they grudged last year as well, and I don't think either of them has really played in the intervening time, although, CAC did actually get some practice games in locally, which is cool. So Tucky was playing Enforcers, and he had a Enforcer captain with 3 Enforcer defender buddies, which is a pretty hefty unit. A Peacekeeper captain with 2 buddies. A very expensive unit. I run a Peacekeeper captain as well, but I usually just run with 1 body because it's such an expensive unit. A unit of Pathfinders with a dog. 2 units of operatives, both with 2 HMX missile launchers, which is how I like to run them. 130 points of pure destruction. A unit of assault enforcers, and it's a big one. 173 points because he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. 3 of which have face claws, so that's a lot of killiness. A unit of jet bikes, 4 of them, including a burst laser. A unit of Peacekeeper defenders, 3 in that. An interceptor arbiter, so that's got the dual Polaris cannons. And then a unit of Novichok Peacekeepers with the heavy thermal rifle.
One of your calls for best in class.
Yes.
I like it. I think it's a good mix in there. I like defenders. I like pathfinders. I'm happy to see both those 2 types of units. I think they have advantages in those, particularly to do with some of the scenarios to come in play. I'd like the relatively large unit of Enforcer jet bikes. It gives a lot more mobility and firepower to go around. I'm not so sure about assault enforcers personally. I think you could get away with other units to do that, but that's just the way. That's my personal preference, I think. I don't think there's anything particularly bad about them.
Well, they're too expensive, but I found out after the tournament that's because the companion body count is wrong for the points. Yeah, so both of us played assault enforcers that should have had, I think, an extra 1 or 2 guys in it. I think 1 guy in it, I think. Something like that. Yeah, there's an actual error.
Okay.
Because 173 points for 6 of them is quite ludicrous. But I mean, I can't talk. I played a unit of 4, but just because I had them and I didn't have to paint anything if I ran them. Now, Tucky was actually 1 drop less than me just because he's got a few sort of more points in some of those bigger units, so he could only get to 10 drops with those choices. But otherwise, it's actually quite similar to what I played, and there's a lot of really good. He called it Pew Pew. Checks rulebook pew pew, like it's a shooty list that just has 1 unit that's also decent in combat. I like the Pathfinders as well. I don't have any painted up yet, so I don't run them, but just they're a very cheap and very effective unit in that troop slot.
Yeah, I mean, and just gives you a way as you were saying, you often want to get that early points lead, and it's a way of getting yourself up the board. I mean, obviously you can with jet bikes as well, but jet bikes are not a unit you want to sacrifice to get an early
Definitely
lead.
not.
They are very expensive.
4 of them is 175. Sorry, 170 points, but it's 175 with the burst laser.
Whereas 122 points for Pathfinders with a dog drone, much more acceptable.
They're harder to kill as well, the Pathfinders.
Because they have,
Well, harder to shoot.
I mean, when I'm using my list as Pathfinders and the jet bikes, they work very well in both controlled advance and the evacuation missions, because they can actually double in both to either go forward to grab what you need and disappear again, or they can actually have the range to sit there and shoot from the back line to go forward. Like you can use go on the jet bikes, jump forward, shoot, and then retreat back and onto the objective again. So
there's a lot of play there.
Yeah, it's a very mobile list to be played with. Then we're on Ben Kinley's list, also Enforcers. He starts off with a forward observer by himself, but I guess an enforcer captain all by himself, and a peacekeeper captain all by himself.
Three commanding enforcers.
Yeah, 3 commanding enforcers.
Benno's a madman.
But they have no friends.
That sounds like enforcers.
They've got no friends because it's got 3 commanders and enforcers.
Wow.
Then we got to 2 units of 6 operatives with a medic and the burst laser, and 2, 4, 5. There's another unit of 6 just with the medic, no burst laser in there. Then we have a unit of enforcer defenders with the stealth drone, enforcer heavy support unit in there with all the missile launchers, 2 units of Novichok peacekeepers. 1 with the thermal rifles and 1 with the heavy fusion guns. There's 3 in each of those. 3.
Those are big, expensive units. So 225 for one and 195 for the other.
Yep, and the heavy support's 190 points as well. But then enforcers are expensive generally across the board. Now we know why all the leaders don't have any friends in there. But no, that is a pretty scary list, especially when you're looking at the Novichok peacekeepers.
Yeah, this is a scorched earth list for sure. This is it's got nothing dedicated for melee. It is I'm going to walk forward slowly and shoot you off the board. Point and click, that unit dies, and he's called it Benno's Unpainted Unforces, which I like.
Yeah.
What I really like about these operatives is they're in a very different mold to what we see in your list, Luke, and what we just saw as well, where these have a medic, so that means you're giving your enforcers resilient, and that suddenly turns them into Matsudan, armor 6, resilient 1-2 hit points. And instead, there's a lot more emphasis on the Genling 45s, which means that all of your orders, and you have 3 commanders to be generating command dice for those orders, suddenly all those Genling rifles can be benefiting from all those orders. I really like this as an entirely different way to play it to the list we just saw.
Yeah, I agree. I was a bit surprised when I originally were looking at the burst lasers in the units rather than missile launchers, but then when we got down to the heavy support and you got 4 of them sitting there, I realised why, and it gives them the option to put some pinning on it. So
yes, it does not need more anti-tank guns.
Yes.
Definitely does not. More. See, you can afford more bodies without those missile launchers in there, so it's makes for a better operative unit. A bit less on the killy front, but he doesn't need it.
Next we have Dale Hastings and the Veerman. So no name for this list, just Clash of Protocols. The list is led by a progenitor with a chemical grenade launcher and a couple of crawler friends, a pack leader who I really like, with 2 nightmares with heavy combat drills. We'll recall the pack leader is the scouting commander, effectively a scouting nightmare commander, so I love this. A brood mother, no friends, 2 small units of crawlers with 8 in each, 3 small units of stalkers, 8 in each, a unit of 6 nightmares with 2 heavy combat drills, and a unit of 5 nightmares with 2 heavy combat drills, a unit of 4 tunnel runners, and a tunneler with super heavy ray gun, and a mutant rat fiend. So that means with the pack leader and the 2 big units of nightmares, we're looking at about, 13 nightmares on the pitch, which I guess is the reason we're seeing the smaller crawler and stalker squads. mutant rat fiend in the tail. What do we think of the list?
I quite like it. Hasto does like his pack leader. He loves that. I think all of those small troops are just there for the unlocks. So he would have gone, hey, I want 4. So he would have gone 2 crawlers, 2 stalkers. So that's what he needs for the unlocks for the commanders and the specialist.
Yep.
Because he needs the extra 4 on top of that because you get the free commander.
Yep.
So five total there. And then also needs the 4 to unlock the 2 support.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, he's got 3 specialists. So he does need 5 troops to pull that off.
So it is the absolute bare minimum of troops. It is 2 crawlers, 3 stalkers, all minimum squad size.
And he could have gone down to like units of 4 nightmares and put more bodies in the troops, but he's probably just like more nightmares. Like, why wouldn't I? Maybe he could have found an extra 5 points and swapped one of the stalkers for a Maligny with the heavy ray guns, just as something that can sit up the back and shoot at things effectively. But that's about all.
I assume the Nightmares went into the tunneler. Did anybody play him?
I didn't play this list.
Yeah, I assume that would be going into there. So like
Probably.
it's more than likely popping up behind you as you're dealing with attempting to deal with everything else. And it's a very nicely painted army too. By the way, it's, the photos are on Firefight Fanatics from there. If you want to have a look at the list, but really well painted army. Looks great on the table. And I'm always a sucker for seeing Veerman on the table. And I love the mutant rat fiend model as well. I think it looks really good.
Beautiful.
All right, next we have Dan Harwood. So Dan was back for his second year. He loved it so much last time with his GCPS, and he's here again with the GCPS. So his list is called GCPS Dan Harwood, which is nice and original. Got a lot of pizzazz in the name.
It tells you what they are and whose they are.
Yep, that's mostly what you need to know. So he's got 2 lieutenants for you American friends and 2 lieutenants for you British friends, one of which is a Marine and one of which is a Ranger. They have no friends. Then he's got a Marine Major, also with no friends. 2 mules with laser cannons, which is an interesting choice. Plus 15 points for those, which is...
It's plus 30% the cost, so
Yeah.
you'd want to have a reason.
and I'm sure he had a reason.
Yeah.
And it's probably pew-pew on big things, but wonder how it went. There's a Marine heavy weapons team with 2 mortars. Again, the mortar filth now that they brokenly shut down commanders. We've got 4 units of 5 veterans in each, all with 2 grenade launchers.
Good lord!
It's a lot of grenade launchers. I do remember playing him last year, and he was just like, these grenade launchers are great. So he's just gone, more grenade launchers seems like the way to go. Then he's got 4 units of Rangers with flamers in all of them. 2 solo medics as well. These ones don't have the med bots, so they're only 30 points for the unit, which is pretty sweet. 2 tank buster striders and a strider with heavy burst laser and assault weaponry.
I really like the idea of triple strider, gotta say. I mean, obviously we've always talked about striders being budget picks, but if you're taking 3 of them, then that budget that you've saved really starts to add up and you can put it into other things, like taking 4 squads of veterans with twin grenade launchers. The main thing to call out, and the reason you put them on veterans, is because you can take a veteran staff sergeant, which gives the unit way to fire 1. So that means all of those grenade launchers, they're re-rolling one of those missed hits with that grenade launcher. I think it's great.
And they're only 90 points for that unit.
Yeah, and to be outputting at 18 inches, 2 shots which explode into Blast D4 AP1 with way to fire 1 to try and land it. I love it.
Yeah, and veterans are also shoot 4. So
yes.
that's shoot 4 with way to fire, which gets a lot of value out of it.
Yeah, love this. It's an entirely different list to the way I play GCPS, but I really like to see it.
Yeah, a lot of bodies, and those medics are going to do a lot of work in this list with a lot of small units sitting around.
And expensive veterans, so the medics are bringing back quality pieces.
Quality pieces each time. Yeah, I actually quite like the list. It's interesting as some of the The Striders, we were talking before about how we like the urban one in the GCPS list, but I quite like the mix here. I think it's good. All right, we're looking at Damien Madigan's got a list, and he's brought the other Veerman. So let's kind of look at the cheese that he brought. His list is called Veering Away from Last. He started with a Progenitor, a Pack Leader, and a Broodmother with 2 Broodguard bodyguards, and a Tangle. Not the Tangle Tunneler, just a straight and a Tangle. Then we've got some of the new units coming into play here. We have 2 units of Vault Stalkers with 2 Trappers in each. So it's 4, 5, 6 models in total with 2 Trappers in each unit. We have a unit of Creepers, of 6 Creepers, and a unit of 5 Creepers. Then we got 17 Crawlers and 18 Crawlers. You did make this list easy for me to call out here, Daniel. A unit of Nightmares with 2 Heavy Combat Drills and 2 Twin Combat Drills. One unit of Tunnel Runners with 2 Tunnel Runners in it. A Super Heavy Chem Thrower Rumbler. An Impaler Death Engine. And a Tunneler with the Defensive Shielding. So a fair mix, and some of the new units to come into play here.
So I played Damo. He did the same thing that I did when I played Sam, and that's complain that it's a bad matchup, and then proceed to not win. But I guess also like my game with Sam, it ended up being a lot closer than he was expecting. He played very well, and he got some early points, and he managed to maintain holding on to a slight tail in points, as you know. Yeah, nice. He managed to hold on to a slight trailing amount of points behind me for the whole game. So testament to playing well. It was a bad matchup for him, and he still did pretty well out of it. Now the Broodmother was a beast. Hard to chew through. So I really like that. Definitely the Crawlers with all those bodies were a massive pain to chew through. And yeah, just like lots of good melee threats. I think, the Creepers sort of cause consternation for a non-combat army to walk forward and be anywhere near them. So they're a nice threat to turn. And yeah, just one of those lists that has a lot of everything and, plays all right.
Yeah, I do like the diversity in the list as well. Like I said, it's nice to be seeing the Vault Stalkers in there, some of the new stuff, and I love to see the Broodmother and Broodguard in play. The Broodguard have come to the Vault now, so we may be seeing them a little bit more.
There's another faction with stuff in the Vault.
Yes.
Okay, right.
Yeah, all the good factions have lots of stuff in the Vault.
Just checking.
I am surprised to see the Pack Leader without Nightmares, since there are Nightmares elsewhere as a specialist choice. I guess I'm thinking if I'm taking the Pack Leader, it's because I want to be projecting a forward threat. One Pack Leader on his own might not do that, but a Pack Leader with 2 friends, I think, is more likely to. It also then saves you an unlock, which you can be using on something else. I love, as you guys have mentioned, the big chunky crawler units as something that has to be chewed through. I also love seeing the Creepers in play as well, as some ways to get up into people's faces. We know that they are scout 14 inches up the board. It's potentially a turn 1 charge with those units. So.
And a Death Engine.
And a singular Death Engine.
Yeah.
Surprised to see it as the Impaler, where I think if I were to take a singular, I'd probably go the one that pins.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to see how it plays. I just didn't give it a chance to play.
You're cruel, man.
Yeah. But I was happy. I was stoked to see it. I was very happy to play against it.
All right, now we're on to Stuart Holland and some more Forge Fathers. Even though we, Mike, you said that there are 4 Forge Father lists, I think this is only our second one, and we're into our top 9 now.
Forge Fathers.
Yeah. Let's have a look at Stuart's list. We started with some surprising choices. Master Artificer, with 2 friends, each with Magma Rifles. We have our normal Forge Guard Huskar with 3 Forge Guard. Then 2 units of Barokkers, one that is 10 strong with a Magma Rifle, one which is just 6. Good to see the even-numbered units. A Drakkar APC, hooray! a unit of 10 militia, a unit of 6 steel warriors with the missile launcher and the hailstorm autocannon, and then another one of those because that's the way you run steel warriors, a halter half-track with a heavy magma cannon. This is very much a list I would build. I'm loving this list. A unit of hammer fist drop troopers, 6 strong. That's going to make you...
6 of them.
I know. That's going to make you happy, Mike. And a unit of 4 Forge Guard with an autocannon in there, and a Juggernaut with a Dragon's Maw and Power Drill. What do we think of slow and steady? Does it win the race for you?
I know Stu's played the heck out of this list. He did talk to me for a fair bit and still does talk to me for a fair bit on Messenger about the list. We talk about the various things. Again, some of these units I don't own, so therefore I don't play, like the Artificer unit. But he really enjoys them and he plays them. And the core-wise is very similar to what I would take. The 2 units of Steel Warriors, the Militia, large unit Hammer Fist Drop Troopers. I would normally take a Forge Guard to Scar, but then he's already done that anyway, so he's like got 8 Forge Guard on the table, so mini tanks. The Juggernaut I don't own, so I haven't used it myself, but I know he will swear by it. And I do own my halter half tracks, but I have not used them. I've been playing other factions more recently to do that. So I quite like the list. I think it's got a lot of variety in there. It's got a certain good amount of bodies. Nearly everything, again, most things that I would take, other than the units I said that I don't own. So
yeah, it's very similar to what he played at FullCon last year. And it's worth noting that the Forge Guard also have a missile launcher.
Oh, sorry, I must have missed
Which, interestingly, for the Forge Guard, and I've never understood this, it doesn't replace his Hailstorm rifle with the missile launcher like it does for other special weapons. He gets it extra.
It's shoulder mounted on the model.
Yeah, shoulder mounted.
Yeah, but for 20 points, it's like, why not? Like, take it every time. I don't understand why people don't take it. Take it every time.
I think it's generally because most people, although after saying that, with 2 Forged by the list that we've had so far, people actually have taken the Forged Guard as a separate standalone unit. I personally have always taken it with the Haskell, and you can't give the bodyguard the extra weapons. So before Protocols came out, I actually did run 3 units of Forge Guard with missile launchers for that very reason. It's 20 points and you don't lose your rifle.
My feel on this list is it feels very tight. Like it feels like a well-honed list. Like the squad sizes seem very deliberate and the weapon loadouts seem very deliberate. There are units in there like the Drakkar, which obviously speak to a broader plan because you don't take a Drakkar without a plan to use it. The list feels very tight to me.
Yeah, there's nothing that I look at and I go, why would you have done that? It all makes sense and it's well known.
And I do like the inclusion of the Master Artificer as well, because if you think of reducing incoming AP, when you've got all these Steel Warriors and all these Forge Guard, it's...
Yeah, he was singing the praises of the Artificer all weekend, so I think in there, and I think the first time I've actually seen it used, so good on him, and I might have to have a look at investing in that.
Next up we have Will Summer and his Marauders called Green Tide CanCon 2026. Will had a Commando Captain, naked, a Ripper Warlord, naked, a Raider Command Vehicle with the HMG, a Mule with an HMG, 3 units of Commandos, 2 of which had HMGs, and they're otherwise minimum at 5 bodies, a unit of 6 Brawlers, just with the pistol and claws, a unit of salvage engineers, a unit of 4 skyscrapers, we'll get to that soon, with 1 shotgun in there, 2 units of 4 grunt pods, which is terrifying to look at, backed up by a unit of 3 Ripper Warlords, and then 2 stunt bots in his favourite way to run them, which is the Big Claw, Buzzsaw, and Auxiliary Flamer. So the skyscrapers, he scouted them forward and then turn 1 charge Nova Shocks and killed one of them. My controlled fire did nothing.
and of course, because your Nova Shocks have devastating, and these are 2 wound bombs, right?
Yeah. I should have diced them. just rolled like arse on the attack roll, and then he managed to kill one of them, and I had to run away, so they didn't get to activate that round. And then they died after that because they're standing up. The rest of the army turns and faces this unit of skyscrapers and deletes them.
What's the story with having a single shotgun?
I don't know, maybe he had the model with it or just the points.
Maybe there just wasn't 5 points and so...
Yeah.
Okay.
Who knows? I guess the problem, at least in our matchup, is that he loves his MSU style for the Marauders to just get a few of those sort of bigger, chunkier units with the grunt bots and maulers. But against an army like mine, a 5-man squad of armor 5 guys is not going to stay on the table very long. And, without the best nerve, once they're broken, they run away pretty easily, and that is how it happened. Also, with lots of devastating 2 instead of D2 in my army, the grunt bots didn't really stand a chance. I think at least once, maybe twice, I just one-shot them off the board in one go. Just rolling really well with Nova Shocks and bye-bye. But he plays the army he really knows the army. He's played, I think, only Marauders, and he plays this army very well. And you can tell, even though I might look at the list and go, that's not exactly what I would have done, to watch him play it, it makes sense because he plays it very well.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's certainly a lot in the tail end of the list. Like, as you say, those 2 4-strong Gruntbot squads and a 4-strong Mauler squad and 2 melee stunt bots. They're also tough and killy. They really are asking the question, do you have an answer for this? And if you don't have an answer for this, you are in trouble. But if you do have Luke's list, which in some ways it almost feels like it's tailor-made to destroy this.
Yeah, it is. It was unfortunate because my list it's a very, very good matchup for my list.
I mean, also, I got to say, love having the Raider Commander vehicle in there as well, because that means all those stunt bots and grunt bots are getting sped up by an extra 3 inch in all of their moves. So this list really benefits from having the Raider. I like it.
Yeah, he definitely plays a more melee-focused Marauder list and coming through, and you can see it in this. And again, it looks fantastic. All those great vehicles. Grunt box look great, Maulers look great, Stunt bots look great on the table, and it just gets in your face and you got to deal with it, as you said. So it's a little bit different to more the local Marauder players that we have here in Brisbane, the list, but I do like it. I like it a lot.
Were the salvage engineers in the mule? Was that the play?
Yes.
I guess I'm just... It's odd to think of a melee trending Marauder list, but only a single mule. And I guess I just assumed that the salvage engineers are going in there because they love hopping out of mules.
Yeah, that's a good fit for them. But he's actually going ham on the guys that can't go in mules. So he doesn't need as many.
You put those grunt bots in a mule?
No.
I think that's the main reason why. Obviously, he's just gone for something that's heavy armor, and he's taken, instead of a mule, he's taken the Raider, but you get them across the board faster. So.
Yeah, good call.
We're on for Brendan Cousins' Forgefather 1500 list. Starting with a Thorgarum Haskal with 4 buddies. A Forge Guard Haskal with 3 buddies. 1 2 units of Brockers, just naked, each 5 in each. A Drakkar. A unit of 7, 8, 9, 10 Steel Warriors with 2 autocannons into the unit. A unit of 8 Rekia, a unit of 2 Valkyr with long-range radios, another Halter half-track with the heavy magma cannon, 6 Hammerfist drop troopers, a Brander urban assault vehicle, and a Sternhammer battle tank with the quad heavy hailstorm cannon.
Yeah, 8 Rekia coming out of a transport into your face is going to be a bad time. I'm glad he's also gone for a very descriptive list name with Forgefather 1500, just so we're all clear on what the army is and how many points he's got. It looks like a pretty standard Forgefather list with a couple of gotcha little surprises in there for your enemy if they're not paying attention, in so much as the drop troopers, 6 of them can put out a fair bit when they drop down, and the Rekia in a transport would be my guess, and them popping out in your face. So yeah, it's fun. It's got some tools.
Can I call out the things which are non-standard, though? The 10-strong Steel Warrior squad. I very rarely see Steel Warrior squads of that size. Also, Steel Warriors without the Mjolnir, right? Not normally you're seeing it with the missile launchers. I'm really interested to see how this plays, because I really do like the idea of big, tough Steel Warrior squads who effectively act as the anvils in your army with armor 6 heavy armor and then chunky bodies.
But 210 points that unit though.
It is, but I mean, you never see Steel Warriors being able to take advantage of their overwhelm. So this is a unit strength 3 squad.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm really interested by that. The standard includes, I think, of the halter and the hammer fist. I think a good. I think it's actually quite a fast list with the Drakkar and the Valkyr and the hammer fist and the Brander. This is a Forgefather list that moves.
I'm just wondering was that what actually went into the Brander? I'm assuming it's the Forgarum Haskell, but it could be the Forge Guard Haskell going in there.
It could have been like the like 2 units of. He's got options, right? It could.
Yes, he's definitely got options.
It could be. Yeah, it could be. Because what's the capacity?
The Brander 5 off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Brander assault vehicle is capacity 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
so
got the
probably
dirty flamer on top
probably
of
a
it.
unit of Brockers.
Oh, see, I had assumed the Thorgrim Haskell who comes charging out. Yeah. So, but yeah, you're right. There are options. I'm really interested by this list.
Maybe it would have been a play to have only 5 Rekir, so then them in the Drakkar as an option.
Well, I was thinking if it were 8 Rekir and the Forge Guard Haskell had only 1 friend, then he would then go in as a pairing with.
But I don't think the Rekir benefit from. Oh, you're saying in the Drakkar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing that I do look back at the list and wonder is there enough anti-tank? Because there is the halter half track, but aside from that, there's a lot of flame, but not a lot of melt.
Yeah, the Hammer Fist drop troopers, even at 6, will still struggle to take dedicated stuff, but then you've always got the strategy of ignoring other people's heavy armor.
100% you do. I guess I'm just thinking, if this was against the list we just saw, with all of that heavy armor and toughness, it'd be an interesting matchup, I think.
Yeah. And again, it's another beautifully painted army as well to go through. I recommend, if you haven't seen them already, have a look at Forgefather Fanatics and have a look at the Armies on Parade post that I would put up for that.
Was this the army that won Best Painted?
No.
That's next one.
The next one.
So our next list is Adrian Scott's and is called The Fists and Guns of Clan Golok. So, this one also has a Thorgrim Haskell with 4 friends, a Forge Guard Haskell with 3 friends, 2 Drakkar APC, so I am twice as excited, a unit of 10 militia, a more standard unit of 6 Steel Warriors with a Mjolnir missile launcher and Hellstorm autocannon, and then another unit of 8 Steel Warriors with a Magma Cannon and Hailstorm autocannon, so I guess this one's up there getting a bit closer. A unit of 5 Thorgarim, a unit of Rekir, both those units are at their minimum squad size of 5, a unit of Brocker Valkyr without any radios. They're traveling around without music. The Hammerfist Drop Troopers, another unit of 6, and a Sternhammer Battle Tank with the super heavy Magma Cannon. We're seeing a lot of things being repeated. What do we think of the Fists and Guns of Clan Golok?
I quite like how fast this can be as well. With the 2 Drakkars, you can put Thorgarim and Rekir in one, and then a unit of Steel Warriors or the Militia in another. So you can get quite a few units up the board quite quickly. Adrian's from WA and he flies over for Clash every year. So
WA is Western Australia.
Western Australia, yep. They're on the 3-hour flight across the country or longer. 4.
How many time zones away?
Several. And not only that, he lives in a smaller city or town in Western Australia. There's 8 hours drive away from Perth, which is the city that has the airport that he has to catch the plane to get over. So it's a big trip for him. So he actually has his Kings of War dwarves, which is why this is called the Fists and Guns of Clan Gollick, because he's got a lot of models that he's done a lot of conversions, and he won Best Painted. A lot of conversions and shields, and he's got the Gollick Fist, and it's really cool. It's all stackable units as well.
I saw that army being put away. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's the same army. It uses it for both. Like I talked about, my Night Stalker's using them in both systems. He uses his Forge Father army, has his Kings of War Dwarf army. So if you have a look at his Valkyria are actually Badger Riders on there. So as you go through, they actually have cannons on the side and things like that. So, but all the Steel Warriors actually also work as his normal rank and file dwarfs as well. So it's really good. It is again awesome painted. Lots of conversions of cloaks and shields and hand painted.
Yeah, he sculpted all the
symbols.
cloaks on them.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great.
It's awesome.
That's why I was actually torn between him and someone else's for my Best Painted vote, and when I realised that he'd sculpted the cloaks, I'm like, well, that's got to win, right? Yeah, and the list itself, quite solid. It is Forge Fathers, so you expect solid. But, yeah.
But just like we were saying for the other list, speedy as well. Forge Fathers can be manoeuvrable.
It's a very similar list that I would probably take. May even experiment with a list like this myself.
Yeah, no Brocker as well, which is good for me. He's done the what much more acceptable to me 10 militia as his cheap troop unit.
Unit strength 2, 10 bodies, cheap.
Throw out some dice shooting, call it a day. We're
now into our top 5.
We are, and this is where we start hitting the Queensland filth. So the first of our Queenslanders and the first of our filthmongers is Alexi Mensa from Brisbane, who ran a Marauder list called Clash of Protocols. Thanks for that. Red Tide Rising. So Alexi has a commando captain with 2 sniper buddies, a Ripper Warlord with 2 Rainmaker buddies. I like that loadout. 2 mules with HMGs, 2 units of commandos, both 5 strong with HMGs, a unit of 6 brawlers with just pistol and claws, a unit of salvage engineers, a unit of 4 grunt bots, a unit of 4 Ripper maulers, and a unit of 4 Ripper Rainmakers, a unit of 2 Hulks, and a Wolverine. So this list, I'm not a huge fan of the MSU troops because they, sure they got Resilient 1, but they're Armor 5 and they die pretty easily. But other than that, there's a lot of, I guess again, like Will's list, it's a little light up top, but it has a big bottom. So.
Yeah, but Alexi also really knows how to play this list.
Yes.
Like, very, very well targeted for things like the Ripper Rainmakers and exactly where all of these shots are going to go. And it's the same sort of feel with those Ripper Maulers and Grunt Bots that if you don't have an answer for them, that they get in amongst you and they're then very, very hard to stop. I played Alexi on the top table in the final round. The only thing that I think really cost Alexi the game was just a misjudgment of distance in that the final round was playing lockdown, where you're scoring the objective and also 6 inches around the objective. Alexi was thinking that it was 3 inches around the objective, was wondering why I was moving things up so close. I then started scoring points and got an early point advantage, and then it just sort of rolled from there.
I made the same mistake, Alexi. In my brain, it's 3 inches around it. I don't know why.
Probably not helped that I have the Mantic templates, which actually give you the nice little 3-inch bubble around the objective, so you can see where you put your leader for claiming objectives. But it was just one of those things. We'll come to my list in a moment and exactly why I think it was a good match against Alexi's list, but Alexi plays this list very, very well, and there's lots of great stuff in here. Similarly, I don't know how I feel about the small squads in the core, but they do their job of bringing unit strength 2 to the field, but they do just melt if stuff does get to go their way.
Yeah, but those, Rainmakers are absolutely terrifying.
Yes, yes.
they put out so many dice. It's crazy. And a unit of 2 Hulks, which is cool, because you don't see Hulks very much anymore since the massive nerf that they got. So it's great to see.
And again, looks really good. Really good. So it's all green and red mixed as well together on the table.
It's Red Tide Rising. It is a very, very red army. You know it when you're playing it.
Yes. Now, talking about more filth. Luke Schaefer's Firestorm Enforcer list. Starts off with an Enforcer Captain with a single friend, an Enforcer Captain Defender. Peacekeeper Captain with 1 friend with a Dominator Rifle. An Engineering Team with the 2 Sentry Guns. Enforcer Operative Units. There's 2 of those with 2 missile launchers each. An Enforcer Operative Unit by itself with a Burst Laser. 4 Assault Forces with Face Claws. A unit of 4 Enforcer Jet Bikes. 4 Peacekeeper Defenders, just with the standard Dominators. And 2 units of 2 Novashock Peacekeepers with heavy thermal rifles each.
This list is so tough. The amount of firepower that it's able to soak up on units like the Peacekeeper Defenders and on the Novashocks, who are just so tough with their resilient as well, coupled with the extreme range you get on units like the Operative, which Luke plays very well. The extreme range you get on those HMX-32 missiles means that you can have tough things up front, things reaching from your deployment zones in the back line to touch your squads in yours, or the engineers who shoot at 24 with their sentry guns. It's very, very challenging to face.
And with the anti-gravity on those operatives, they can get up on buildings very easily and just shoot over stuff. No problem. The list is called Firestorm because the Peacekeeper Captain gets deployed in the middle of the board.
and then just gives everyone way to fire.
And
it was nuts.
So many of these units benefit from that, and Vicious. So that the whole list centers around him being in the center and putting out. I'm just constantly measuring his aura distance when I want to move things, and leader goes there, but buddy in the unit goes there, so that we're still within the Firestorm range and have at it. A fun list to play. Like I said before, the Assault Enforcers are a bit overcosted. I just put them in because I had them painted, and if I ran this list, I didn't have to paint anything. Other things people might be questioning is the Enforcer Defender. The 1 Enforcer Defender on the Enforcer Captain. The reason for that is because it bumps his armor up by 1.
Yep.
And the Engineering Team, I like them even though they're auxiliary still because they are 85 points for essentially 10 shots. And 4 of those shots are at 24 inches. So if I don't need an extra unlock, and particularly like if I'm trying to save, 5 points here and there at the squeezy end, I can, instead of taking in other operatives, I can take an engineer team. So I do quite like them.
And they're still a thumb and unit strength 1, right?
Yeah, and I've also started putting them in lists without the sentry guns, even though I really like them on there because it's just a cheap unit with 3 bodies, 6 shots, 6 wounds. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm curious, with all those Novashock Peacekeepers you have in there, the missile launcher operatives, do you end up still using the Striker missiles or do you use the burst missiles more?
So great to have the burst now as an option because they started murdering troops. But what it lets me do is it's reasonably hard to one-shot things even with a unit of 2 Novashocks. If you had 3, you could one-shot almost anything in the game, but you can't quite get there. So on turn 1, it's great to have the missile launchers be able to finish off a unit that they need to, and then switch to murdering troops.
Yeah, it is a list that just slaps you off the board. All right, our next list, coming in 3rd place in Clash of Protocols, Matthew Truella with the Plague, our 1 Plague list. This list is called Get Punched. It has a Leaper Sentient with 2 friends, 2 Plague Lords, even with their recent points increased, 2 small units of zombies, one with 15, one with 16. I say small because they can go up to 30. a Plague Mule Transport with an HMG, a squad of 4 Leapers and a squad of 3 Leapers, a squad of 15 Ghouls with 2 HMGs, and then another squad of 15 Ghouls with 2 HMGs, 2 units of Blitzer monocycles, both with biker chains and pox bombs, so they can ride around and throw grenades at you, and then 2 corruptions. So you did read it right, that is 2 corruptions, 2 plague lords. That is a lot of damage output. No aberrations though, they get left at home. What do we think of Get Punched?
This was, when I was receiving lists coming in and I was looking at the lists that were coming in here, this was my favourite list that I saw out of them all. I really liked it. I love the 2 corruptions and the 2 plague lords. It's got the speed, it's got the numbers. I like the motorcycle sitting in there as well to be able to jump on objectives and do whatever. Yeah, I really like the look of this list, and again, it was a gorgeously painted army. I loved it. The closer you got to it, the better it looked. I really like the look of it, and I really like the look of Plague in general. But yeah, it seems got answers. It's got speed. It's got numbers, and it's certainly got punch.
Yeah, I mean, you think that Plague often struggle getting thumbs places, but they've got Leapers and Ghouls, and the Ghouls are decent size, so they should hang around. And those Blitzer monocycles should really give you some solid objective play.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been a good matchup for me to face him. I would have deployed a little bit back from the line and just, the corruptions wouldn't exist anymore, for example. So I guess it's a bit... I mean, he got lucky matchups in that he didn't have to play Sam or Kak, who ultimately went undefeated. So he snagged me and got that 3rd place podium above me by clubbing some seals on the way. I say that jokingly because he actually had to have, like, he lost to Adrian and he had to play Hasto, who's got quite a bit of experience, and Dan, who with all those grenade launchers to deal with, right? So he actually did have a reasonably hard run of it. But I like it. It's Get Punched is a great name because your opponent is going to get punched. And then the two units of 2 blitzers is great. I really like that inclusion.
The only thing I wish I could get in there is doubling the size of those zombie squads, because zombies are so cheap. Like for 30 points, you get 10 more bodies. I just wish I could get more of them in play. But
just drop a couple of ghouls.
Ghouls are the same sort of thing in that they are also heavily front weighted. It's only 6 points for each ghoul once you've done your initial outlay. So I honestly don't know where you'd find it.
One leaper gets you 30 points.
Well, I mean, maybe taking the 2 stage 2As off the leaper sentient, because that would then give you enormous hordes of zombies running forward as well.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's probably what I would do. Even one of them gives you a bunch more zombie body.
But I mean, taking 2... I mean, the Leaper Sentient still has great play anyway with his Bloodlust and just being able to run over here and toss a unit into combat. Yeah,
it becomes a support piece, not a threat in its own right.
Yeah, but that's... I mean, maybe that isn't what this list is trying to do. A Leaper Sentient with 2 friends will also slap you and will get there faster than those Plague Lords and Corruptions. So...
And in 2nd place, undefeated, we have Adam McCaskill, who is Kak or Kakwa, and he played Marauders, and he has the fancy list name of Marauders Clash. And true to Marauders form, where everything comes in nice, even increments of 5 points, he has come in exactly at 1,500, which is very easy to do. So he's got a Commando Captain who has no friends, a Ripper Warlord with 2 Rainmakers. There's a bit of a theme here, Ripper Warlord with 2 Rainmakers. Almost as if that's what basically every Marauder player I know runs. 2 Mules with HMGs, a unit of 5 More Beasts. Now, hear me out. Kak and I were chatting before the tournament. These were just because he had the models, because he didn't realise that it was 1,500 points for this tournament now. And he's like, I need more points. What models have I got? And we landed on a unit of 5 More Beasts to plug the last little gap. Then he's got 3 units of Commandos, all with 9 people in it and 1 HMG each. 2 units of brawlers, 1 with 2 Ripper Claws and 1 with 1. A unit of 3 Grunt Bots, a unit of 4 Ripper Maulers, 2 Stunt Bots, 1 with the Thermal Cannon and Hugh Cannon, 1 with the Big Claw and Hugh Cannon, and then a Stinger with the Rotary Cannons.
Is that the only flyer we've seen this tournament?
No, there was the
the Arbiter.
Arbiter in Tucky's list.
Ah, very good. I know I shouldn't get hung up on the 9 model squad size.
I knew you would, though.
You're absolutely correct, I would. I've expressed before why I think the even squad sizes are better. I would much rather have an 8 and a 10 than 2 9s. There's so much to like in the list here. I really shouldn't get hung up on that. I mean, we are seeing some certain themes, of course, as well, like the grunt bots and the maulers giving some solid punch. I do like these stunt bots in there in order to give some good ranged output, like thermal cannon and Hugh cannon. If someone hides in cover, you tap this unit with the what's the name of the order that gives the explosive rounds? Is it explosive rounds?
Ambiguously named.
But I'm so happy to see the Stinger there as well. Has the correctional stabilizers in order to make sure it gets headstrong, because if you're going to be spending 110 points, you don't want a single AA weapon stopping you doing anything all game. I also like the Maw Beasts in there.
Yeah, he didn't. And we knew he wouldn't. He did say they're terrible. They're terrible. Every time you play with them, you just get sad. They're very bad. But he also didn't have it, like, you know... He
had 3 more commandos instead of the Maw Beasts.
And, you know, his run to undefeated was to beat Tucky in the grudge match in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then against Robbo, his clubmate from Wollongong, in round 2. But the surprising one was having to beat Adrian Scott, our top finishing Forge Father player, in round 3, because you know, he's got a few anti-tank shots, but not a lot, really. Like, he would have had to get into melee, so he would have had to have just gotten into Adrian's face really quickly and early. So yeah, that probably would have been a tight game, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
I like it's a nice mix of stuff. Other than the other lists that we saw earlier, it's got some decent bodies in the troop section. So nice big units there to work with. Seems to be well balanced. Good to see the Hornet getting a show. It's good to see. They did well. Okay. So I wonder who came first then. Well, I wasn't playing, so...
That's the only reason.
Yeah, that's the only reason. Okay, Gustarians, and I can never pronounce half of these units, so we'll see how we go. So it is Sam with his Asterians this time around. Did come first. Congratulations,
thank you.
Scale and Steel. It's the name of the list. Starts off with a Cypher Prime with 2 Wardens as friends. A Matsudan Toshiori. Okay, with 2 friends.
Who are Matsutori.
I need an interpreter.
But I'm keen to hear him say the next unit's friends.
Matsudan Ronin with Matsuyamori.
Matsuyamori.
You should make you call out your own list. A unit of marionettes, 4, 5, 6, one with a sniper rifle, a unit of marionettes with the communications drone and 2 grenade launchers. So it's a unit 10 in total. Mm-hmm. A Cypher unit with a shield drone and a force rifle. So that's 4.
Even numbers.
Cypher Wardens. There is 6 in total with a shield drone. A Macedon combat team, and there's no way in hell I'm going to pronounce those.
It has 2 Inashi and 4 Sekiwake.
Yeah, okay. A Shira Transport with the null rifles. Marionette a Phantom by himself. A Macedon support team. You gotta be kidding me.
Yes, it has 3 Yokozuna.
And another Macedon, a heavy assault team with the leader, and so just 1, 2, 3, 4 in total.
No, there are 6.
6, 1, 2, 3.
Absolutely terrifying unit.
Spectre Blade Master in the assassin mode with the missile launcher and the fission beamer, and a Chroma Force platform with a super heavy fission beamer. And so lots of lizards. That goes obviously with the scale, and lots of shields to go with that. Yeah, it's an interesting list. So I haven't seen that many Mastodons really before, and so it's a little bit different from most of the others to go around. But I'm imagining it's quite tough to deal with. So you either have to deal with shields, or you have to deal with a whole bunch of high armor, big resilient units.
Yes, it is oppressive to play. That's so disgusting. The shield shenanigans that Asterians can do. Like, if you know what you're doing, which unfortunately Sam does, Asterians, I think, are probably the top tier army if you just know what you're doing, because they have so many tricks that make it so incredibly hard to deal with them. That, they all shoot well, they fight well, they've got shields, they've got decent armor, there's a lot of constructs, so you can't really pin them. There's resilient on the things that don't have shields. And then you're like...
And headstrong on the things that don't have construct.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, and I just want a 50-point unit so you can put a marionette phantom down. And I'm like, and it's a great little unit for 50 points.
It is armor 7 and 4 hit points with unit strength 2 and a thumb.
And I had to look at it and go, I just can't put any dice into it. I'm going to have to let it go and do stuff because I just, there's too many other things that I have to deal with. 50 points, ridiculous. So yeah, very tough list, well piloted, unfortunately. And yeah.
Thank you. There are some things which are kind of in there as fun inclusions. Like that is the Ronin. The Ronin is fielded purely because it is a beautiful, beautiful model. I love it. And he has dogs. Well, the Matsuyamori hounds.
You like dags?
Exactly. It would be so much more sensible to play them as the Hanawa duelists. Because then I'd also be able to get shots out so that when he triggers his order, all of their shots would gain devastating 2. And AP 1. That's great. But dogs look cooler, so we're doing the Matsuyamori. The intention behind the marionettes with the twin grenade launchers and the comms drone is effectively you're going to have marksman grenade launchers, which is not terrible. The small unit of ciphers puts out 7 shots for a 95-point unit.
It's disgusting. It's a really disgusting unit.
And again, it's unit strength 2 and a thumb with a shield drone.
4.
Yeah, and armor 6. Yeah. The wardens themselves generally give a good accounting. They never hit quite as hard as you want them to, but there's 6 of them with shield 4 and armor 6, and they double their shots, and then you drop their shields in order to give them AP 1 on those knockback weapons, and so on and so on. But I mean, I think that the ones which have caught people most off guard with this list is the Matsudan, just because when you have a combat team which is 6, and then and so that's 12 wounds behind armor 6, and then you give them the Isha drone, which I think is a bit overcosted at 15, but I do still like it because it ups them to resilient 2, and then they're near the Matsudan Toshiori, who ups them to resilient 3. They become very difficult to remove. And if they're pinned, they have headstrong, and they're often near one of my inspiring pieces. And then, because the Isha drones are in with them, you can start healing back those armor 6, resilient 3 things. And where you were a broken unit, it's an action, and then suddenly you're not, which is the kind of thing that Plague do as well. And if you thought the Matsudan combat teams were oppressive, the heavy assault teams come in with armor 7. So they're then armor 7 and resilient 3 and the ability to regenerate wounds with 12 of those hit points behind that armor. And defensible, so you don't even particularly want to charge them because they'll countercharge. They are just so good at sitting on an objective and dissuading anyone else from coming near. Brilliant unit. The only things I'd really change about the list, I regret assembling my Blade Master as an assassin, the Spectra. I wish he were a true Blade Master instead. I don't know if I'm quite getting the utility from the micro-fission beamer. I think I'd much prefer to have the Blade. So if I were to change anything, it'd probably be that. And like I said, more sensibly, the Ronin should have the Hanawa, but Matsuya Mori looked cool.
Yeah, the only sense of relief I had when I looked at your list was the Spectra. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I don't hate that one.
So the question is, how do you guys sleep at night?
Well, funnily, I was just looking at the results, and Sam got 61.27% kill, which is pretty good, above CAC that had 59.91. But then you go down to mine, and it's 81.13.
Good Lord.
So,
I said yours is a list that slaps the opponent off the table.
yeah. I don't think you're the only opponent that had models left on the table at the end of the game. So,
but that's my list is also not intended to kick you off the table. It is intended to
play the objective
and stop you killing me.
It's interesting you're putting that stat out there because I know I look down the list and I go Will's list with the other Marauder list that was mainly combat focused only has a kill rate of 8.38%. But he still won 2 out of his games.
There's got to have been some data entry errors there.
No, I think you're fine because I went down to it. I think it's more because of the zoning. People didn't want to go anywhere near all those combat units sitting on objectives.
Yeah, and so it is the threat exertion, and then you're able to do objective play.
Because I actually noticed that last year with the Plague list, they also had a very low kill rate, but they were winning their games because of objective play. So that's the 18 player lists that were submitted for a Clash of Protocols 2026 here in Canberra, Australia in January this year.
It was an excellent tournament, Mike. You did a brilliant job.
It was great.
Thank you very much.
I just wish I could have gotten away from my flight a little bit earlier. Mike was trying to finalise the results on there going, I got to get on a plane in an hour. I got to get on a plane in 50 minutes.
Yeah, I was having a bit of trouble and then I realised what the trouble was. It was a user error rather than a companion error. I wasn't using it properly, but I thought there was a companion error and then I was putting everything into an Excel spreadsheet and then I spotted what I'd done wrong. So anyhow, yes, I think a lot of people had fun. It did end up being, for some people, the 9th game by the end of the evening, by the time we finished that, because they played 6 games of Kings of War than the days before.
That's my excuse.
Yep.
That's my excuse.
But then again, from my perspective, there was a lot of new people who were playing in this tournament that had not necessarily played before, and some people who have well and truly been hooked into Firefight and love it after playing that, and that's the main reason why we do this. Unfortunately, we only have a single day with 18 plus people. It would be better to play it over, or at least have another game. But as I said, most people have already played 9 games by that point, and I think a few brains are fried as well. So,
and people are going to fly places.
That's right, and people have got to go home after the long weekend and get back to work and do all those sorts of things. We'll certainly see what happens in the future regarding that, and it's great to see it going for the 2nd year in a row and getting very close to 20 players.
Maybe we should look at doing a 2-day Firefight tournament a little bit later in the year sometime.
I am looking at that. So I do have to thank a number of different people that said there's a lot of people brought terrain or let me borrow terrain here from Brisbane to take down for the tournament so we could actually have sci-fi terrain actually there. So it did involve me driving 14 hours each way to be able to get there, but still that's all the fun things for it to do. But I think every single one of you allowing me to either bring in the terrain yourself or allowing me to borrow your terrain for the tournament. Thank you very much.
Well, this has been fun, having a chance to unpack all of the lists across an excellent tournament. We'd also like to thank everyone who's taken the time to leave us a review, whether it's on iTunes or wherever you happen to get your podcasts. It's all incredibly helpful for us to be able to reach more people. So if you haven't given us a review, if you are able to give us one, that would be very helpful to us. And any kind of liking, sharing, and subscribing all helps us get the podcast out to more people.
So that's what we have for another episode of our podcast. So either run or get to your local tournament, give your lists a cool name, and unleash control fire.
Hear the tales, fierce and deep. Victors roar defeated. We blaze away. We don't hold back. Control fire, ready to attack.